Hey folks, so here is the first video in our midterm review series, and the first thing that we're going to do is go over how to find the note names in treble, bass, and our C clefs. If you hear any growlies in the background, it is just Mr. Maxwell, and he sometimes thinks that the reflections of himself are another dog. Anyway, so our first clef that we're going to go over is treble clef. And treble clef is called the G clef because this little curly Q here goes around the line for G. And you can, from there, either use a mnemonic like every good boy does fine for each of the notes on the lines. And then sometimes we use face for the notes that are in the spaces, F-A-C-E, right? Either way, you want to make sure that G is on the second line. The other thing that you can do, and I definitely use this for our C clefs, is I just use the musical alphabet sometimes to count up or down. So if G is on the second line, A is our next note up, it's going to be on the next space up, and then B, C, D, E, F, and then of course we start over again at G. And if we're going down in the staff, we alternate and we go backwards in the musical alphabet. And we start to use our ledger lines, etc., as we go beyond the staff. So that is our treble clef review. Let's do a quick little review of bass clef. Fussy britches, oh my goodness. All right, so our bass clef we call our F clef because these two lines here surround the line for F. Just like with our treble clef, we want to make sure that you are checking where you're using your mnemonics, where you're positioning them, because if you end up putting them in the wrong order or starting on the wrong line, that will not do very well for us. So sometimes people use Good Boys Do Fine Always, or Great Big Doves Fly Away, or Great Big Dogs Fight Animals. And then for the spaces, All Cows Eat Grass, A, C, E, G. But you can also just use the musical alphabet. If this one is F, then as we go up, we would have G, A, B, and so on and so forth, up into our ledger lines. Same thing as we were to go down in the musical alphabet. Let's see, we have A. If we go down one, we have G. Continuing to go down, we have F. Next one down then would be E. And then D, C, and so on and so forth. So those are the lines and spaces and some of the ledger lines for the bass clef. Now we're going to go to our C clefs. I don't use a mnemonic with C clefs, not because you can't use a mnemonic with C clefs, but just because I feel like we repeat a lot of the same patterns over and over again because the musical alphabet is pretty much the same no matter what we do. And so after a little while, they tend to get confusing. But the big thing that's important to remember about our C clefs is that this little arrow bit points to the line for C. And this is where I really just use the musical alphabet, and I just figure, all right, I'm going to count up as I need to. Now, over the years of me doing this, I've gotten a little better at recognizing patterns where if C is on the middle line, I know the next line up is going to be E, and the line up after that is going to be G, and so on and so forth. But again, that's after many, many years of doing this and of having to count up and down for a long time. So if you're still somebody who needs to count, don't feel bad. A good tip and trick to remember in any of our clefs C clefs, the bass clef or treble clef, is that when things are an octave apart, meaning that they have the same letter name, one lower, if it's on a space, the next one up is going to be on a line. So like this F that's here, it is on the lowest line of our staff. And as you can see, if we go across, the next one up, it's on a space. So if you ever have, two G's, which you feel like are an octave apart, but they're both on a line or they're both on a space, one of them is probably incorrect, because they're going to sort of switch places where one's going to be on a line and the other one's going to be on a space. So that one is our alto clef. That is our first C clef. And then the second one is our tenor clef, which is just another C clef, but instead of C being indicated on the 1, 2, 3 third line up, it's on the fourth line up instead. So we have C, and again, I just use musical alphabet here, and I just count up every time, and then count down. If you have a really great way of remembering that, and you know it, and you've got this down pat, I love that for you. I'm definitely a checker when it comes to these because I'm just never 100% sure. So I always do like to check, and I will count up and down. But that is how to find the lines and spaces in our treble, bass, and 2 C clefs that we are going to see on our midterm.